Thumbnails are a crucial part of a YouTube video. A thumbnail is what entices the viewer and gets them to click and makes them actually watch your content. So it comes to reason that you should spend a large amount of time on your thumbnails. Since I make about 3 YouTube videos a week, I thought I would show you how I construct my YouTube thumbnails. So it's a good idea when you're making a thumbnail to base it around your title. Come up with your title and then the thumbnail will make itself. So right now I'm working with the title, How I Won the Award for the Best Streamer, or something along that line. So I was thinking about making the thumbnail something like me sitting back smugly and then 30,000 viewers right across here. So let's press remove background to see what that does. Whenever you press remove background, it's never as exact as you'd like it to be. So I'm gonna go to the eraser tool, and from here, I'm just gonna press Control plus and zoom in. Look at those handsome lips. Go forward and just start to erase. This is my chair right here, so I'm just gonna erase that. People never really realize this, but whenever you're making a YouTube thumbnail, people are gonna see it when it's that small. Like from there, even though the picture itself is a little bit blurry, not in focus, from this, it looks just fine. So you gotta think about that when you're making a thumbnail. You cannot have too many small elements that people will not be able to see. I might just open a new background. I have a ton of things for Photoshops, or a ton of things for thumbnails. I'm thinking this right now. I think this could be the move. I think if I put this behind me and blur it just a tad, it might be exactly what I'm looking for. That looks pretty good. I also need to move myself a little more in frame here, and then press Control T. It'd make my smugness a little more bigger, a little more arrogant like that. But that looks a little animated, like you can barely tell what I'm doing. So I think I need to put it right around there. I think that looks pretty good for that part at least, and actually maybe make it a little bigger just so I cover the bottom down there. So I think right here I'm going to write 30,000 like that, and I'm gonna press Control T, make this much bigger, probably like that. Actually, you want things to be really big in thumbnails because you're looking at this. So if I were to leave it like it was, if I were to leave it like this, you barely see what it was. And then I'm going to bring in something I already have stored away, which is the viewer symbol. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the paint bucket tool, and actually I want this to be a deeper red. I think the red's not good enough right now. Let me go to deep red and paint bucket this. Okay, first of all, it's not what I wanted. Paint bucket that, and paint bucket this, and this. I think it's looking a little better, but it still doesn't stand out enough. So what you do here is you right click on this picture box right here, and you press select pixels, then you go to select, press modify, press expand, and then I like to expand by 10 usually. You press that, you go back into paint bucket, you change it to whatever color you want it to be on the outside. I want it to be black. Then you go over and you click outside the paint bubble, make it black. I actually don't think I made it big enough, but we'll see after I can compare the whole thing. You have to paint bucket a lot of individual things, but that's fine. Small price to pay for salvation, to quote Thanos. I'm gonna do the exact same thing to this red. I'm gonna go 10 more pixels. So hang on, let me just press select, modify, expand by another 10. Just because I don't think it stands out enough. Paint bucket, I think it's already black. Yes, it is. So that should be good. Go to 30,000, modify, expand by another 10. I think after that, I should be satisfied. My hunger for darkness to be surrounding my text should be okay from there. Hang on, let me just go in really fast and modify this, modify this, modify this, and modify this. I think right there, that actually looks very good. That stands out just enough. I actually do think it would look better with a real background. Oh, first of all, let me go to adjustments. Let's go to this. And the darkness is good. I think the darkness helps a little bit. Too bright, too dark. Actually, I think that's good. I think right there is probably good for that. This is all the way saturated. This is no saturation. I think somewhere right about there looks pretty good. But I think it needs a background. I think it needs a real background. So let me just take a picture really fast of what my background would ordinarily be. This. Let's go open. Let's go down and find this right here. It's not looking too good. This is actually just a bad quality picture, but it doesn't have to look good. I'm going to blur it anyway. I think so far this is fine. Yeah, put it right here. We'll move it all the way down to here, and I'm actually going to delete this first layer. And let's press Control T on this to move it more into the center like that. I think it just fits. I need to go into filter, and I need to press blur box, and then from there, so as you can see, very blurry. It's gray. This is no blur whatsoever. This is one blur. I think somewhere right around there should be, it's probably a good balance. Because I'm also trying to appeal to returning viewers, and if they recognize my background, that'll help them be like, oh, it's him. Deselect. I want to make this inside circle and the viewers bigger. I'm going to fill the inside, but then leave the outside blank. Select, deselect, and then as you can see, we have a little bit of a line there that probably will be visible if you really look, which I can easily just fix by grabbing a drawing tool and just doing this, which is always, people forget this. People always think they have to go the fancy route and like do some cool high-tech thing. You know, you just got to throw in a little bit of a marker and then you should be good to go. And I think that looks a little bit better, but I'm still not content. Let me just add some drop shadow really fast and see if that does anything. So for that, I think that's actually pretty good right off the rip. And let's see if I can get the same thing for this drop shadow. I think that's pretty good, actually. I think I didn't even need to adjust the drop shadow that much. I think this is looking better. I will say, I think I need some drop shadow, because now that I have a real background to isolate myself from, let me see if I can give myself a good drop shadow. I think right about there, maybe pretty good. I think I need to make it a little more spread, like that, possibly. I think that drop shadow looks pretty good. And I think that is going to be our final product. And then I'll have FutureJed put in the CTR for this video, the click-through rate, the amount of people who saw this thumbnail, and the amount of people who actually saw it and clicked it. So hopefully this thumbnail has at least a 10% click-through rate, but FutureJed will have to tell you that. Alright boys, we're back. It's been about 2 days since I posted this video, and in the time since I posted it, it's gotten about 61 views, which, as it says here, is 21 more than usual. It performed very well for me. It had about a 41.4% audience retention rate, which is pretty good. Anything above like 35, I consider to be usually pretty good on my videos. But for Why You're Here, which is the CTR, it got about a 15.6% CTR. Like I said earlier, anything above 10% I consider good. And before this, actually, a couple days ago when I first posted it, it had about 23% click-through rate, which is insane. And obviously it went down a little bit over time because the more people that YouTube showed it to, the less likely they are to be interested in it. But like I said, even a 15.6% click-through rate is very good. I'm very happy with that. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and you should come watch this live over at Twitch. The link is in my description. And we're also doing thumbnail tutorials, right? So see you there.